This Michigan bonus betting pick episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
No trucks, no problem. It's fine. We are the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and it doesn't matter if there's trucks or not. We find ways to be able to give you even more here on the show, as we will give you a bonus picks episode of this show where we'll toss in a few more of our favorite picks now that things are, the books are sort of shifting around, giving some different offerings than they do on Tuesdays. We'll just kind of give you a few more if you're looking for a little more action for the Firekeepers Casino 400 and, of course, the Cabo Wabo 250 Xfinity and Cup Series races in Michigan. Cody, I know that we always love to give you underdog picks as well, but unfortunately, at the time of this recording, we have not gotten any underdog offerings. Therefore, have to just watch our Twitters for those.
Yes, yeah. Watch on Twitter. Get in the Discord. We'll share those for sure. Yeah, unfortunately, just not posted yet. We're recording a little bit early for a Friday show here on Thursday evening, but that's when it worked out to do it. So I guess unfortunately, Rod, we'll just have to give out more bets and some parlays. It's a rough life, but somebody's got to do it, right?
And listen, honestly, some of the ones that we found now,
I'm actually really excited.
I know, and that's the thing. Like, we were digging around for some extra bets. We're like, well, and then all of a sudden, a couple of these popped up, and we're like, oh man, we definitely have to give these out now. So, we're gonna give out a couple picks a piece, and then a fun little parlay or a couple of parlays, depending on how we feel like it, and kind of round out your betting card. But yeah, I mean, Michigan this weekend, obviously, by the time we have this episode out, practices will be going underway, obviously qualifying over the weekend. So still some time to get down on some of these bets, especially for the Saturday and Sunday race, as we always do. But yeah, I mean, listen, there's really no news between when we last recorded and now, only the reaction to Jimmy Johnson's ballad or
everyone
snub.
agrees, Rod. Denny Hamlin said it's bullshit.
Denny Hamlin was
Dale Jr. liked Denny Hamlin's tweet about it being bullshit. It is bullshit. They've released the names of the people on the panel, but not who voted which way. I think it should be required to be released because, again, like I said yesterday, they should never be allowed to watch another race in their entire life. Ugh, ridiculous.
So, and look, and it was brought up in the Discord too, and I want to just touch on that real quick because I feel like it deserves a little bit of oxygen. And that I understand where and you'll have to look up the name for me because I can't remember exactly who brought it up as far as it was Kyle Armstrong, right? Who was talking about his driver getting in on the first ballot, or not even at the first ballot, but just getting in at all.
Well, I mean, he was in. Kyle's a great contributor to the Discord, always talking. Lots of good information. He has a host his own podcast about dirt racing, which is great. And knows a ton about racing, lives up in that area, works with race teams, I think in his, throughout his daily job and stuff. And I completely understand what he's saying, right? He's saying Harry Gant's been on the ballot for years and should be in the Hall of Fame. 100% Harry Gant should be in there. Ricky Rudd should be in there. Carl Edwards should be in there. Jeff Burton should be in there. A lot of guys on the ballot should be in there. Whether we need to expand how many people we let in every year, maybe something that could be looked at. But Jimmy Johnson takes precedence over all of those people. I mean, if it was coming up and Dale Earnhardt wasn't in there and this was his first year eligible, like, are you going to tell me that, oh, we can't put him in there because literally anyone else other than maybe Richard Petty's not in there? Like, no, it just it's one of the greatest ever. Like Tom Brady, when Tom Brady comes up to be on the NFL Hall of Fame ballot, and you look at all the guys, and it's like a lot of good guys on here. A lot of these guys should be in the Hall of Fame, but guess who should be a unanimous Hall of Famer? The 7-time Super Bowl champion or the 7-time Cup Series champion. I mean, the greatest players, the greatest drivers of all time should go in unanimously. Again, he still made it in, so there is that. But the unanimous thing, and it's just writers, voters being elitist. We see it in other, like I said with Derek Jeter in baseball. That's the most recent example where it's like that guy is, sure, he's not even the greatest baseball player of all time, but like he's an absolute legend, a surefire Hall of Famer first. But like, just put him in there unanimously. He was that good. There was not one single argument, not one blemish on the guy's entire record. He did everything he possibly could do on them. Like, just put him in there. It fucking drives me nuts.
Well, and I'll say this, and we'll put a bow on the entire thing as it's probably time to get to some bonus bets. But I'll say this: there's nothing says this current era more than somebody who should be completely unanimous not, because that just means that there is two sides to every story, and somebody out there is going to be a troll and say, I'm not putting him in because I don't want to put him in right away. So,
and there's no good excuse
of all
for
times. No, there's not. And the greatest of all times can't just be voted in. Then I don't know what world we're in. So
even if it's, he's still driving part-time. Canals is still involved in Hendrick. Like, it doesn't matter. If he'd have been eligible 5 years ago while he was still full-time, he should have been put in right away. Like, he's eligible. He met the requirements. That's it. Put him in. It's not a question.
No. And it's not like football where you retire and you walk away unless you're Tom Brady and come back. But I mean, driving you can still do.
Tom Brady. There's a few guys.
60 years old, you can still drive. 60 years old, can't really put on the shoulder pads. So
exactly.
All right, let's get to some bets. Let's give you some bonus bets. But I want to tell you first about our Patreon. I'm excited to tell you about our Patreon. Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon. It's the perfect way to get in for the diehard DGen and get some exclusive access to contests, including NFL win totals contest. It's got $1,000 prize for first place in there. Plus, you're going to get a monthly SGP Stories podcast, which is an ad-free, uncensored show highlighting the best stories from decades of being DGens. Plus, you even get your own special Discord channel just for you, the patrons. Sports Gambling Podcast has and always will give out all of our picks for free. And the Patreon is a great way to support the network and fight back against corporate gambling. If you want to get in on this, go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Okay, so we scoured the books for a few more bets to give out and a few more picks to give out. And Cody, I think we've landed on a couple that we actually like quite a bit. I know I like mine. And I know you really got excited about yours before it happened, but definitely let's have some bonus picks fun for the rest of this afternoon. What you got?
Yes, I'm really excited. And these are kind of, we go through our normal routine and have our normal main card. A lot of these are some kind of fun bets, a lot of they're all long shots to a degree for the most part, but these are fun bets to play. So you can kind of split some units up and do it. I'm going to jump into the poll betting first, right? We'll have qualifying. I think that's taking place on Saturday. But I'm going to take Christopher Bell 11-1 over on Barstool, and I am going to take Bubba Wallace 10-1 over on Barstool. So I'm put a little sprinkle on both of them. And yes, qualifying is at 12:20 Central Time on Saturday. So get those bets in before that. Christopher Bell, though. Okay, so first of all, let's go back here last year. And Bubba Wallace actually started on the pole, and Christopher Bell was second. So that's reasons why I want to be in on both of them, right? Toyota started 1, 2, 3 because Kyle Busch was the third fastest qualifier. So they showed that they could qualify here. Christopher Bell got the pole at Auto Club earlier this season at a track where, guess what? It's very similar to this one. And then let's see, he started 5th most recently at Pocono, which again, not super comparable to this, but some straight line speed. Christopher Bell's a really good pole qualifier. And I am just all in on Bubba Wallace this weekend. 10-1. Give it to me. We're going to hit Bubba Wallace to win the pole. We're going to hit Bubba Wallace to win the race. We're going to hit Bubba Wallace top 3, top 5, top 10, every head-to-head we can. It's a Bubba Wallace weekend, Rod.
And if it is, I got to tell you right now, that'll be a lot of fun to come back on Monday and break it all down, or even Sunday night if we can get it in on that. But yeah, definitely like that. I'm going to go over to the poll as well. And we're going to actually take Joey Logano at 11-1 to win the pole on this track. This one's a little out there because if you look over the last 4 or 5 races, it's been a different pole sitter just about every single time. But Joey Logano, since 2019, has had that pole twice on this track. So in total, he has 4 poles, which is the most of all of the active drivers on this track. Now, granted, it's not really that big of a competition. Kurt Busch has 3. Keselowski has 2. JJ Yaley even has 1. Denny has 1. Kevin has 1. Kyle has 1. Bubba has 1. Greg Biffle has 1 on this track as well. But of all active drivers, Joey Logano has the most poles on Michigan. He has 2 poles this season. Granted, they came very, very early. But one was at Las Vegas. One was at Atlanta. In Fontana, we talk about that being sort of a comp track. He qualified in 3rd. So not a bad qualification there. And look, other than Richmond last week, he's actually had a string of top 10 starts. And in fact, 3 of those have been 4th place. Nashville was 4th. Atlanta was 4th. Loudon was 4th. He started 6th at Pocono. So he's qualifying well, and he's qualifying up near the front. And all it takes is for a really fast lap in that, right? I mean, we see all the time that it comes down to just who can lay down the fast lap when. If Joey gets a favorable qualifying time or position or whatever, he could be the guy to lay down that fast lap. And, like I said, he's got the most active poles on this track. So at 11-1, that's worth a shot to take Joey Logano.
Yeah, and the top 10 part of that is very key because if they make it to the top 10, that means they're in that last round, right, where they get that chance to go lay it down. If things fall in the right place, he gets it at the right time. That can help as well. And yeah, you mentioned Atlanta, and our buddy Derek Yoder brought up a point. I can't remember. I've listened to him on too many things. I don't remember which show it was on. Might have been on the Twitter Spaces show that I was on with them on Wednesday, but where Brian Murphy, who used to work for Stuart Haas and his co-host of All Things Go with him, was talking about how Atlanta is the most similar track to Michigan as far as just how the tracks are, even though obviously it's the restrictor plate, tapered space or whatever at Atlanta, but still the setup is kind of similar. So if you remember, Fords did qualify really well there. I think they took the top 7 spots. Joey Logano was one of those top guys. I think you even said he won one of the poles at one of the Atlanta races. So that's comparable as well. So I do think that Joey, another good bet to win the pole.
Well, okay, so Joey did win the pole and won that first Atlanta race. And in the second Atlanta race, he was 4th in qualifying, finished 17th. So if we're going to go with Atlanta, I love this bet even more at 11-1. So Joey Logano on the pole. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty decent at this track anyways. We'll just go with that and have him win the pole and go out and have a great day. So, all right, Cody, you got another bet you want to line up?
Got another one. Also going to have to give credit to Derek Yoder and Phil from Full Tank with Phil. Derek was on Phil's show, Full Tank with Phil, this week. Great episode. Make sure you go check that out after you're done listening to this one. But they had brought up this guy, talked about him, and they talked me into him, Rod. Austin Dillon. I'm going to take him to get a top 10 finish at plus 325, and I'm going to take him to win the race 100-1 over on Caesars. Austin Dillon is sneakily good at this type of track. He's good at the big fast tracks. We've seen him win on intermediates before, places like Texas. Obviously, he's won on the super speedways, right? I think 100-1, though, for just a little sprinkle, you don't have to go large on it. But if you hit 100-1, that's a pretty nice hit, right? But you go back, he's got 5 career top 10 finishes here. So that bodes well towards his plus 325 number. He's got 2 top 10 finishes in the last 3 weeks, different track styles, yes, but the momentum is there with Dylan and this team. He finished 9th place at Charlotte, a somewhat comparable track to this, 10th place at Kansas. And Phil, when I was on the betting preview spaces show Wednesday, was talking about how Kansas is basically a mini Michigan. And so that goes in even more to everything we compared it to this week and makes me love Bubba Wallace even more. But 10th place at Kansas, so he was in the top 10 there. 9th place at Auto Club, again, the track that's the same size as this one. So he's got 3 top 10s on comparable tracks this year. And we haven't been to that many intermediate races. So he's done a pretty good job so far. I talked on the show earlier this week. I love his teammate Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch can show up with that speed. Why can't Austin Dillon? Plus 325 over on Bet365 for the top 10. 100-1 over on Caesars. Give me both.
Okay. I have something to say about that. I do. It's funny that you mentioned, because we obviously did not set up our bets with each other.
We don't. There's no document for this show, so
no, we are going straight at each other, which is funny. You bring up Austin Dillon. We're gonna talk about him in just a second, and it's funny that you mentioned him because you're pretty high on him. If I tell you what, let's do this. I want to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. We wish we could have brought you our Underdog Fantasy pick, but we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. NFL season is right around the corner. Underdog Pick'em is a great way to get down on a ton of NFL player props, and it's also available in a ton of markets. Plus, you got plenty of opportunities to win with their daily MLB contests, and of course, the NASCAR Pick'em. So make sure you look out on your Underdog app for when they drop those. And then when you're done, go enter Best Ball Mania 4. First place is going to get $3 million. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use our promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. It's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. So you bring up Austin Dillon, and that's fantastic. I a top 10. I'll go with you on that one. But I will say this, and 2 things too. You brought up Eric Jones as a top 10 car earlier in the week. On the betting show. So spoiler, go back and listen to the case made for that. I'll back you on that. In fact, Caesars has even boosted it to plus 400. It was plus 325 when you put it in the doc. Caesars has it boosted to plus 400. I'd say grab that. I like that bet too. And I will also add on top of that, I found that Caesars has Eric Jones over Austin Dillon, and Eric Jones is at plus money to beat Austin Dillon in this head-to-head. You just made the case for Austin Dillon to have a great finish, and that's fine. He did finish in the top 10 2 of the last 3 races, which means he's found some speed somewhere. But before that, 21st at Atlanta, 36th at Chicago, 13th at Nashville, not bad, 19th at Sonoma, 31st at Gateway, 9th at Charlotte, okay, 35th at Darlington. He's had some pretty horrendous finishes in this season altogether. On this track in particular, as the driver of the 3 car, 13th, 31st, 8th, 36th, 13th. It has been literally hit or miss for Austin Dillon on this track. It's just a very tough thing for him to get around. Turn around to Eric Jones on this track, 18th and 8th as the driver of the 43. So a top 10 finish last year, which is what we are basing our pretty much entire Eric Jones as a top 10 car on, as far as being able to do it here on this track. But over the last several races, right? Richmond was 23rd. That was a bad day for him. But 9th at Pocono, 11th at Loudon, 11th at Atlanta, 16th at Chicago, 8th at Nashville. Bad day at Sonoma, 32nd, 18th at Gateway, 32nd at Charlotte. Another bad day for him there. But at Charlotte, Dillon did win this head-to-head on that. 18th at Gateway. So as far as consistency is concerned, Eric Jones has had far more consistent year than has Austin Dillon. And like I said, Austin Dillon on this track, nothing to write home about. Just a series of either 30th place finishes or somewhere around the top 10. So I'm going to go ahead and bank on Eric Jones riding some momentum. And at plus 110, I mean, and listen, Cody, it could happen where Eric Jones finishes 7th and Austin Dillon finishes 8th, and we still cash the top 10 bets. So I like that.
Yeah, not too much of an argument. Again, a plus money. I think that's a good thing. What'd you say it was? Plus what again?
For Eric Jones as a top 10 or for
for Jones over Dillon?
It's plus 110. It's plus nothing spectacular.
But still, yeah, I mean, plus money in matchups, especially kind of unknown matchups, not really a bad thing ever. And like you said, we can cash multiple things going this way. And if Austin Dillon wins this race, you literally won't care about any other bet anyways. So
No.
I think it all kind of lines up nicely to work out anyways.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of gets you covered too, just in case Austin Dillon doesn't finish a better than Eric Jones at this point. So I like it. I think it's time, unless you got another bet, because I think
I have two parlays, but
yeah, perfect. No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's time to have a parlay party.
Parlay party. I like it.
All right, let's get to some parlay parties then, shall we?
All right, you ready for my first one?
Yeah, do it.
This is a pre-built one over at BetMGM, but I like what they did here. They've got a couple of different options where it mixes the top driver from each manufacturer, which is a little tough to hit, but at the prices they're offering, this is the longest one and the one that I probably like the most. So 80-1 over on BetMGM. Denny Hamlin to be the top Toyota, Brad Keselowski to be the top Ford, Kyle Larson to be the top Chevrolet. Denny Hamlin has been one of the best every single week at most tracks, especially intermediates. He won Pocono. He won Kansas, mini Michigan, by the way. Things have been going very good for Denny Hamlin. Brad Keselowski, I made the argument earlier this week for him to finish in the top 10. I made the argument earlier this week for him to win the race. I think that's very, very possible. And Kyle Larson, I mean, I know that he's not been the greatest lately, but he's one of the favorites every week. He's always good. And for him to be the top Chevrolet, he's got 3 wins in a row on this track previously in Chip Ganassi cars. That's not even in a Hendrick ride. So I think getting these 3 guys to be the top guys in their respective manufacturers. I mean, honestly, arguably, you're getting the best guy in Toyota. It's between Denny and Truex right now, right? So 1A, 1B, you're getting one of those guys. You're getting Larson, who could argue is the top Chevrolet. William Byron's kind of fallen off a little bit lately. I really like Kyle Busch this week, but it's not a guarantee, right? And this is kind of one that gives you a little. I don't really have a bunch of bets on Denny or Larson, too. So if they end up falling this way and Brad is top Ford like I think he can be, this could fall out perfectly. But love this bet. So it's Denny Hamlin, top Toyota, Brad Keselowski, top Ford, Kyle Larson, top Chevrolet, 80-1 over on BetMGM.
How crazy is that one? And it's funny because we were looking around, we were kind of digging together on that one, and that popped up, and I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah,
you read it.
Well, then I read off some of the other ones too, and there's a couple like 40-1s and 50-1, and like this is the one I like the most, and it was the longest odds. So I was like, "Beautiful, go big or go home, Rod."
Yeah. Like I said, you really want to dominate our best bets in every single week. So
to keep dominating, Rod.
Keep dominating. You are correct. Okay, mine's not a crazy 80-1. Mine is a 4-leg parlay. Probably has a little bit, even more with it to hit, but this will get you at plus 994. This was also pre-made by Caesars. In fact, they put this one together. It's a 4-leg parlay. It has got Joey Logano to win his matchup. I'll tell you in a second who they are. Kevin Harvick to win his matchup. William Byron to win his matchup, and Martin Truex to win his. So the matchups are as follows: Joey Logano to beat Ross Chastain. Listen, that's pretty simple. We've already talked about Joey Logano and how he's been able to run well on this track. We even go back into the betting episode, the betting episode from earlier this week, where Joey Logano on this track is somebody we're keeping our eyes out. He's got 3 top 10 finishes, actually 4 top 10 finishes in the last 6 races rather, and he won in 2019. So 8th place in 2020, 5th place in 2020 as well, and then 4th place last year. And listen, Ross Chastain has been semi-MIA for the better part of the last part of the season. And if there's going to be some life resurrected into a season, I don't know that's going to happen on this track in particular. So I definitely like the Joey end of this better for sure. On its own, that's minus 125. So again, if that's something you want to get down on, that's fine. Kevin Harvick versus Tyler Reddick. Kevin Harvick owns this track, dude. Kevin Harvick has won on this track more times than I think the track has even been around. So we can't necessarily say anything about Kevin Harvick that hasn't already been said. Go back and listen to the betting episode. 5 races, not just has finished in the top 3, but won 5 of the last 7 races. I don't care who you put against Kevin Harvick. I'm taking Kevin Harvick's side of that. Tyler Reddick, I don't even have to tell you why I'm taking Kevin Harvick over Tyler Reddick. William Byron over Christopher Bell. This could very well be the weaker link of the two, only because when you talk about William Byron and Christopher Bell, you expect to be fast. He's actually been fast on pretty much most of the season. Finishes haven't necessarily been there. We talked a little bit about him, though, in the betting episode. But for William Byron on this track, he's got a 12th place finish, a 2nd place finish, and a 12th place finish in his last 3 races here. And for Christopher Bell, I mean, again, we expect Toyota to be fast. We really do. We expect everybody to be able to run well, but I don't know why I feel like this is going to be an opportunity for William Byron to kind of get back into the groove as he heads into the playoffs, because he hasn't necessarily been the same as he's been since he started out the season on a tear. So we're going to give the nod to William Byron, but that's just because it makes this one plus 994, and we can't really leave it out. And then Martin Truex Jr. over Kyle Busch. Cody talked a lot about Martin Truex Jr. in the betting episode. He loves Martin Truex Jr. We love Toyotas all together, and we're not really sure which Kyle Busch is going to show up. I mean, the Kyle Busch that does well at Michigan, that's one that could show up, or we could get the Kyle Busch that has been completely in his own head the last couple of races and been suffering from just who knows what, equipment failure, pit failure, brain failure. It's we've seen Kyle Busch be so good in spurts and stretches, and then he just gets in his way and he starts finishing poorly. Like, last week he finished 3rd at Richmond, which was a great comeback after a 36th and 21st finish. But Cody, I don't know if I trust that to be the case for him this week. So we're going to take Martin Truex Jr. over that. So again, you're adding Joey Logano to beat Ross Chastain, Kevin Harvick to beat Tyler Reddick, Bell to beat Byron rather to beat Bell, and Truex to beat Kyle Busch. All that together plus 994. Don't have to remember it because it's on Caesars, so find it there.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, I mean, you're putting a bunch of matchups together, getting pretty good price at plus 994. I like it. I got one more, Rod. We tried this one a few weeks ago, and it worked out for us. They're giving us even better odds this time. Here we go. Ty Gibbs to win on Saturday in the Cabo Wabo 250, which I already talked about on the show earlier this week, and I absolutely love. You're going to pair that with Martin Truex Jr. This one's available over on Caesars, pre-built already for you. Pair that with Martin Truex Jr. To win Sunday's race at Michigan, 39-1. I can't love this enough. I didn't give out Martin Truex as an outright this week, but he's been my guy lately. He's made us a lot of money. He can win any given week. I would not be shocked. I love Gibbs to win on Saturday already. And you're mixing in Truex on Sunday. It's the perfect combination, just like we did in New Hampshire with John Hunter and Truex. You're getting a better price, and this has I get that Truex was maybe a more favorite at New Hampshire, but this has a Cup guy in the Xfinity Series included in it, which is great. Absolutely love this bet. And man, a 39-1. Shout out to Rod for finding this one, saving it for me, because he knew that this one had Cody written all over it, and I can't love this one enough. Gives me Ty Gibbs to win Saturday, Truex to win Sunday, 39-1.
Yeah, and once I saw it, I was like, "Yep, this is Cody. I can't take this one because this one's Cody." And even still, like you said, you didn't give out Martin Truex Jr. to win as an outright, but it's time to stop treating him like a retired driver. He's actually going for a championship. Maybe if he wins a championship this year, maybe he does ride off into the sunset. That could be the only last part that he needs. But I definitely like this bet for you as well. Well, Cody, I mean, we've pretty much exhausted our parlay party. We've given out some bonus bets. I feel like this is a nice little quaint episode for a Friday, just to send you out. Maybe you mowed your lawn. Maybe you had this in your ear. Maybe you're done. Maybe you're like, oh man, I can't. But now we're going to go ahead and send you on your way to fill out your cards.
That's right. I love it. Nice and short. Nice, quick little Friday one for you. Get you into the weekend. Got a bunch of good racing this weekend. At this point, the SRX race will be over. Hopefully you watch that Thursday night, cash some bets. And then, fun weekend. Make sure you go check out the F1 Gambling Podcast as well. Get our IndyCar picks for Sunday. We've been having a lot of success this year on IndyCar, hoping to carry that momentum into Nashville Street Course this weekend. It can be a lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun indeed. All right. Well, then, Cody, I think that's it for the week. We will definitely see you guys either on Sunday night, Monday, depending on what the schedules say. But looking forward to recapping this awesome weekend of racing with you, and looking forward even more to actually watching it. So hopefully let's have some fun, and hopefully we cash some bets already in the SRX series. That would be nice.
Yeah. It'd be a good way to start the weekend. Had a success last week, so hopefully you'll obviously know the answers by the time you listen to this, likely. But yeah, I'm excited. Going to be a good week of racing. You can follow me on X at Husker_Zeeb. Follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. We got a Facebook page now also, so if you prefer that area, you can find that NASCAR Gambling Podcast. And yeah, I got tons of NFL stuff out, tons more NFL stuff coming out. So keep following my page for that. And yeah, let's go racing. Let's cash some bets.
Throw up the X with me at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio to everything I got, whether it is here, whether it's in between media. Check out Fast Money on for frequency's sake and everything I got going on. Gonna have some articles, betting articles on the SGPN as well. So a lot of fun to be had this coming week. So all right, enjoy a weekend of racing, cash some tickets, and just be happy, everybody. This is gonna be a fun weekend. We'll see you on Monday for the recap, and until then, let's go racing and let it ride.
And as sweet as a ending, I'll cast away all of my